Wait, what? Oh, she's going away.
Something happened to Dana.
Something happened to Dana.
That's our next true crime podcast.
Oh my God, that would be a great true crime podcast.
Yeah. Really good. Sweeks.
Something happened to Dana, and now she's back again.
Yeah.
Rufus just barked like I've never heard him bark before, so I had to
make sure not like there was no predator in the house.
Yeah, what was that
Either
about?
that or that he and Echo didn't just decide to have a WrestleMania. Oh, Alex cut her hair. I see.
I was waiting.
It looks so cute.
Oh, I can't really tell what you're doing.
I think it's really cute, Al.
It does. Looks very cute.
Yay! Summer.
I was so happy to not have long hair. And when it's 97 on Tuesday.
Never cutting my hair short again. Ever.
Really?
Short?
Not cutting it short. It's because you can actually do this to yourself and see, like, you still look great with your hair at that length, Alex, but I have started checking to make sure how the shorter hair affects my face. The shorter it goes, the older you get. So
I think it depends on the hairstyle. I think I'm very lucky with the curly hair. Curly hair makes you look younger when it's shorter. It makes you look like Shirley Temple-ish.
Sure.
A little.
Whereas if you do like a bob or like a shorter, like a flat hair, it can be a little
it's literally like do the test on any celebrity. My favorite thing was if you take like J-Lo and put a short haircut on her, she ages 20 years. Instantly.
Especially Dana,
I will show you.
That.
I will
Dana, as you're a blonde too, it would look very Karen-ish. And we don't need Dana to look like a Karen.
Yeah.
No, I try real hard not to Karen. So
we all try. Or if we Karen, we're gonna Karen for the right things, right? We're gonna Karen for like good reasons.
No, I'm incapable of Karening because I'm too scared of people. Like you have to be not scared.
Yeah, I'm not a Karen. I'm just a bitch. So
yeah, there you go. The idea that you're going to like thrust yourself into a situation takes a certain amount of hubris. But
I usually thrust myself into situations that are like dangerous for women. You know, like Helen and I saw a guy putting his arm around a woman's neck and like kind of pulling her way.
Okay.
At like 8 a.m. And we told him that is not okay behavior. You don't touch anybody like that. You don't touch her like that. You don't touch anybody like that.
Yeah, don't like that.
It was gross.
Yeah, not a fan of that. Speaking of like stepping in to save a damsel in distress, being dangled over a fucking ledge, by the way. Oh, look at the cutie.
Oh, God. I was like, wait, what movie? Did I watch the wrong movie?
That is like 0.5 seconds in the movie.
It's also a pivotal point, which is also, I would argue, where the film kind of goes off the rails.
Down.
And
Yep.
But we'll talk about that because here we go. Welcome to You're No Fun Anymore, the podcast where we deal with our nostalgia. I'm Randall.
I'm Dana.
I'm Bryce.
I'm Alexandra.
And I'm Helen.
And prepare to ram your Jeep into some oncoming traffic and be scared of your virginity because we are...
I'm scared.
Yeah, we are diving back into Amy Heckerling's 1995 Clueless, or it takes so much energy.
Take a deep breath.
No, it takes so much energy for me to say this in the way that Cher does. The Haitians, is that how it was?
Haitians.
Yeah, you Haitians. Perfect, Haitians.
Flighty song. Haitians flighty song. Yeah.
I like it.
Haitians
Which is
song.
My favorite fun fact about the movie is that Amy Heckerling just let her go.
Yeah, let her do it.
Saying it incorrectly. Not in the script.
I mean, poor Alicia Silverstone just like was trying to be there.
It was kind of cruel to leave it. She should have said we scripted it that way rather than let everybody know that Alicia Silverstone just didn't know how to say it.
Yeah,
totally.
That's fair. I also would go with All About That Baldwin, no Barney.
Nice.
Yeah. I like that.
I would go with If Ty Could Turn Back Travis. That's a stretch. I had to work in a Cher song.
If Cher could turn back Ty.
If Cher could turn back Ty. There you go. Or Girl Insensible.
Wow. I like that.
So, okay. Like right now, for example, the Haitians need to come to America. But some people are all, what about the strain on our resources? But it's like when I had this garden party for my father's birthday, right? People came that like did not RSVP. So I was like totally bugging. I had to haul ass to the kitchen, squish in extra place settings, and like people were on mismatched chairs and all. But by the end of the day, it was like the more the merrier. And so if the government could just get to the kitchen, rearrange some things, we could certainly party with the Haitians.
Wow. You guys talk like grown-ups.
Oh, well, this is a really good school.
They were raised in the streets.
I was really bad today. I had 2 mochachinos. I feel like ralphing.
Brought up in the hood.
Want to practice parking?
What's the point? Everywhere you go has valet.
Hello, there was a stop sign.
I totally paused. You try driving in platforms.
Oh, should I write them a note?
And educated.
Nice stems.
Thanks.
In the mall.
Is it James Dean or Jason Priestley?
Hello.
What the hell is that?
A dress.
Says who?
Calvin Klein.
Amber, my plastic surgeon doesn't want me doing any activity where balls fly at my nose.
Well, there goes your social life.
Alicia Silverstone.
Way existential.
Clueless.
Do you have any idea what you're talking about?
Why do I sound like I do?
Rated PG-13.
Content warning. This selected film may contain scenes depicting the following: sexual assault, jokes about suicide, underage drinking and drug use, implied underage sex, homophobic and ableist humor, prevalent misogyny, rampant materialism, catty innuendo, vehicular chaos, questionable familial relations, non-consensual mall aerial acrobatics, substandard gaydar, and smoking. And now, back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
I never realized how much they actually said the word clueless in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
So much.
Yep.
It's a branding exercise at this point. I mean, I remember watching this when I was in high school. And I thought, I will tell you right now, the only thing that ever stuck with me out of this whole thing, I was like, oh, this is kind of funny and it's cute. And I didn't even realize like it was Amy Heckerling at the time. But I do remember the one thing that stands out as like a personal essay was the moment when Cher starts talking about, can I just say about men's fashion in the 1990s?
Yep.
And there's like this little moment.
So, okay, I don't want to be a traitor to my generation and all, but I don't get how guys dress today. I mean, come on. It looks like they just fell out of bed and put on some baggy pants and take their greasy hair, and cover it up with a backwards cap, and like, we're expected to swoon?
We're supposed to swoon?
Right.
As
Exactly. As a man in that era, not man, but boy, yeah, that was the way I dressed. That was the way I did not give a shit.
As a girl of that era, it spoke so distinctly to us, right? Like, never in my life have I had a movie speak directly to me, like face to face.
Literally 100%. Looking at you.
Yeah.
It was made for us.
Just like, this one's for you, baby. You know?
100% made for us.
I mean, it's just incredible. Like it was, and it still brings me so like this movie still from the opening fucking song, which I think is one of the most perfect
soundtrack. The
soundtrack's great.
The soundtrack is amazing, hands down. But it has one of the most immaculate needle drops at the beginning. Just perfection from the opening chords of that song coming in to like the boppy, you know, kind of like getting ready for school thing. It's just so perfectly, and it just hits me right in
really
the spoke, like right there, just hits you straight in the chest, right in the feels, and you're like, oh.
I will say, and I'm sure we're going to get into all of it, this is the first time I've ever watched it with the filter of how much is not compliant with 2024. And there's
a lot.
So much.
A lot.
But that does not stop me. I love this movie with all of my heart and soul.
All of my heart.
Same.
I've seen it so many times, and I never get tired of it.
We've done like slumber parties and watched the like slumber parties.
That's right, that was in our slumber party, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and we've done.
Romy Michelle's was there too.
Right,
my friend Dina and I.
And there's a great connection with the costume designer between this, and
sense.
we talked about that in Romy Michelle.
We're gonna have to dedicate a full like 45 minutes to the costumes of this film.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
they're so cute.
I think Randall should do the year first
goals.
because I am going to start talking about the clothes and I'm not going to be able to stop. So Randall, go for it. What's the year?
The year is 1995. This would be the final production year of the first generation of Jeep Wrangler, known as the YJ model. It was introduced in 1986 to replace the famed CJ series, or otherwise known as the Willie, the Jeep Willie, which was the world's first mass-produced civilian 4x4, and it had been in production in some manner or form since 1945. Wow. So the Jeep Wrangler was the replacement for that. And the model that she's actually driving is the year prior's. And then they would introduce the second generation in 1996.
She's a learner. She can't get this year's model.
I did not realize that I model my driving after Cher Horowitz, but I model my driving. I do.
No. Yeah.
Not on purpose.
I totally paused.
Not on purpose, but 100% I have had the I totally paused conversation.
Oh, that's
Sorry to
terrible.
That with me.
Across the United States, robberies continued their steep decline, dropping over 6% from the previous year, just over 618,000 offenses to around 580,000 offenses. That is the lowest since 1989, according to the FBI report. Value of property stolen averaged to about $873, and over 54% of those were on streets or highways, i.e. crimes of opportunity, like finding somebody who's distraught on the streets outside of a clown-themed liquor store.
Oh, God, that's right. Yeah. Was it also a drive-through clown-themed liquor store?
No, the LA does not have drive-throughs. But yeah, that was 54% of all robberies. So this works out to be about 220 robberies per 100,000 people. And in case you're wondering, the most current statistics that the FBI has provided is for 2022 as of posting this. And that was in October of 2023. That puts robberies at 66 per 100,000, following the well-documented massive downward trend of both robbery and violent crime and many other crime categories for the last several decades, except for one, which is wage theft, which has been at levels beyond the Gilded Age. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know, attorney generals could focus on that stuff. In Florida, the Olive Garden, originally a unit of the General Mills in 1982, would be siloed off to the Darden restaurant this year, along with Red Lobster, which was also owned by Darden since the 1960s, but then bought out by General Mills. You didn't think General Mills owned restaurants, but they did.
Wow.
Why do you think they had all those free breadsticks?
Oh, God, yeah.
So they actually siloed this off to focus on consumer food products. By the way, RIP Red Lobster. Speaking of focusing on food products with a mind to breadsticks, this might be a Midwestern thing, but this year would see the owners of Bosco's Takeout Pizzeria in Warren, Michigan, switch to a food distribution only model, offering what has been cited as the first commercially made frozen stuffed crust pizza, mostly to provide to the local high school because quality pizza was lacking there. But from those humble beginnings, birthed the breadstick scholastic behemoth as they'd take the pizza away from the stuffed crust and create Bosco sticks. Do you guys know what Bosco sticks are?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'm guessing they're breadsticks.
So it's a cheesy breadstick, low cost, with basically it's just filled with cheese and covered in Parmesan and garlic. It was one of those things that you would find at the school lunch that was regularly $1 or $2. And it was such a specialty that it grew to a $51 million revenue stream for Bosco in 2013.
Crazy.
Before being sold to Tyson Foods the following year in 2014. By the way, these are still readily available today in school cafeterias. It's one of those things that if you know it, you know it. Across the pond in France, former ballet dancer turned iconic.
Foie gras and fancy things at lunch, not breadsticks.
Well, I mean, breadsticks can be fancy. Former ballet dancer turned iconic fashion designer. Give me a second.
Oh, my God.
You do this to yourself.
Every
I know you chose these items.
Thierry Mugler.
Okay.
Mugler.
Thierry
Mugler would tap his friend and colleague supermodel Jerry Hall to become the face of his signature fragrance, angel. By the way, speaking of Mugler.
Mugler.
I think Mugler.
Oh my gosh.
Decided.
I love French. Also this year, he would host his 20th anniversary celebration for his fall winter couture collection. That would be known this year as, quote, the Woodstock of fashion. So,
oh boy.
Holy shit. This is a massive one-of-a-kind show, which is to say a lot from the designer that did costumes for Grace Jones, Madonna, David Bowie, etc., etc. I think he even did stuff for Michael Jackson. And one of his previous shows, the 10th year anniversary, he lowered supermodel Pat Cleveland from the ceiling as the Madonna in full like regalia. Yeah, so this was a massive, massive, huge show. It had a futurist lean, so it was a lot of like cyber weird kind of things that kind of almost leaned into, I would say, like Metropolis kind of things. Supermodels from across generations were there. Music and film celebrities packed the Cirque de Javier. Is that how you say that? Sure. I'm going to say that. It's in Paris.
Sure.
To witness over 300 designs for a single show.
Wow.
Yeah. 300 designs marching down the tiered twin runways surrounding a spiral staircase. And also had a striptease by Patty Hearst.
Wow.
And a performance by James Brown. So the dude knows how to throw a party.
Yeah.
And speaking of star-studded fashion spectaculars, July 19th, 1995, my birthday, by the way. Yeah, Clueless opens to a fairly strong number 2. That Friday, it would actually open at number 1, but over the weekend, it kind of like dipped. But it took over $10.6 million. Its per screen average actually beats out the number 1 at this point, which was Apollo 13 in its 4th week, on 700 less screens. So
wow,
there's an audience here. It also beat out last week's holdovers 9 months and Under Siege 2, Dark Territory.
And that's not the biggest competition in the world.
No, but those were the 2 and 3, as well as fellow newcomers, Free Willy 2, The Adventure Home. That hit at number 6. Yeah, nobody gave a shit about that. And also another teen-centric feel-good romp, Larry Clark's Kids.
Oh, God.
That's very difficult.
I don't even remember what this movie was.
I don't remember that movie.
You don't remember?
God.
Are you serious? You don't remember Kids?
It's scarred a generation.
The darkest.
That's the one
I
where,
remembered Kids.
where Rosario Dawson is trying to like figure out who gave her HIV, right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
I now remember.
No,
I thought it was like, I thought when Randall said it with the whole like blah, blah, blah presents Kids, that was the name of it. No. Kids.
No.
I remember Kids.
No. So
it traumatized me.
I never saw it.
Traumatized everyone.
Everybody.
I never saw it.
Poor Chloe Sevigny.
Yeah, so my favorite review of this contemporaneously was Rolling Stone at that time, because I think it was Pete Travers that did it. And he like directly compared these two films.
Did you do that?
So he just like lined this up. He was like Clueless and Kids. But the quote is, and I kind of actually like this quote, "The materialism in Clueless is almost as scary as the hopelessness in Kids."
Oh, please.
Come on.
But at the end of the day, at the review, he actually enjoyed the movie.
Because it's amazing.
Right. And Kids is a nightmare scenario. And then you also wonder about a lot of pervy shit that people talk about.
Exploitation. Totally.
Yeah. It would be, it would add additional screens to bring it over 1,900 in its 2nd week, dropping down to 4th behind new blockbusters Waterworld and Sandy B's blockbuster hit The Net.
The Net.
Yay.
It did manage to beat out other fellow newcomer Operation Dumbo Drop.
Oh boy.
Even despite that it was in 200 less screens. So there was a audience for this. Overall, this would be a solid sleeper hit. It had and also the critical darling success of it, because it got written up all sorts of places. Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4. I believe it's 3.5 out of 4. He was like it's just sardonic enough, but it's also just cute enough where it kind of blends that level of ironic with the actual sincerity, which I think is what Amy Heckerling really was going for in this, because she fought so fucking hard to get this done. And she talks about this ad nauseum about how she wanted a positive sense in Cher and in Clueless. But overall, it would take over 56.6 million domestically, and worldwide, it would earn over 88 million. And against a $12 million budget, that's a massive fucking hit. And
well done.
Amy Heckerling needed that because she kind of dived into the whole Look Who's Talking film oeuvre, which was
gotta do what a girl's gotta do.
Yeah, sure. I think it was a thing. Maybe we'll get to those at a time because I actually have some fond memories of the first one.
We should get to the first one at some point. Yep.
Yeah, not the second or third one, but
first one.
The first one. It also solidified Alicia Silverstone as a major breakout star. Like, this earned her a multi-million-dollar deal with Columbia TriStar. Like, they basically signed her sight unseen at this point.
In my opinion.
Absolutely. She carries the entire fucking movie.
Yeah, absolutely does. And she is maybe the most likable teen star to come out of that generation.
Totally.
Yeah. As well as ushering in Paud Rudd, even though this technically is his second film.
And he looks like he did yesterday. Like, it looks like he just did, like...
There's a scene in one of the most recent Ant-Men where he's in a car and he turns to look at Evangeline Lilly, and it is literally the same shot as when he does it to Alicia Silverstone in this, and it looks exactly the same.
Oh yeah,
Paud Rudd definitely has a portrait of himself in an attic somewhere.
Or he's a Highlander or a vampire.
Yeah, he's a vampire.
One of those things. I could actually see like Paud Rudd beheading people just to keep his youth.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
That sounds like him.
There could be only one.
But just in such a like charming, funny way.
Yeah, he'd be nice about it.
He'd be so sweet about it.
Oh, that scene at the very end in the wedding when
I love him so much.
I'm also
he's
bugging
so perfect in this. He's so cute.
That actually is a genuine reaction from all the rest of the cast. Like, so Breckenmeyer and Faison actually start laughing at him because he's like, yeah, I'm also bugging while he just eats.
I'm so bugging.
Right. I am also so bugging. And they don't know how to react to that. So they just start laughing. God. And that's why it's cut into that bit.
The lines in this movie are so great. And it's like, I love that it's like one of those teen movies that takes an old literary classic, like it's Emma, right? So it's great, and it's just like, but then it throws in lines
loosely,
like
Emma.
It's not all that loose.
It's pretty close. Yeah,
it's pretty close. It's what like Dina and I absolutely love this movie at my friend, and we constantly quote Ren and Stimpy is like so existential. I just love this movie so much. It's so perfect.
I did want to say, the legacy of this thing is undeniable. It spun off a television show that ran for 3 seasons, one on ABC.
Which was okay. I didn't hate it.
No, except it was just too hard to watch without Alicia Silverstone in it.
Yeah,
right. It ran on 1 season on ABC and then got picked up by UPN for another 2 seasons. It had a series of novels that were published about it. It had multiple video games. It had a board game. It had a comic series that just came out in 2017, I think it was. And then a Broadway musical. And as to this day remains one of the most quotable teen comedies in generations.
Totally.
Yes.
Routinely ranking on lists from the National Board of Review to Entertainment Weekly and many, 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 many more.
Totally.
Like, the one fault I would give this movie is the fact that it has such a strong start. It irritates me that it falls apart at the very end.
And there's a lot of granted it's the 90s, so they use a lot of 90 terms that are really problematic, like the R word, the homophobic language they use about her gay friend, although
it's actually pretty accepting of gay people.
Is.
No, she is. But Daniel Faison, I know, but Daniel Faison,
what did he call him? A cake pusher?
He called him some words that were a little like, okay, like they were totally fun. Like they accepted him in.
Yeah, they're all friends with nobody. There is like not a single moment where he is not accepted. And the best part of it is that she finds out and is like,
she's like, oh great, now I have a best friend.
Yeah, we're friends.
No problem.
They do like turn him into the biggest like caricature at that point. Like, he's not going to get a B plot sub romance. He's not.
Well, he's not going to get a B plot sub romance, but he is the one that rescues Ty at the mall, and that happens after they've outed him.
Yeah, and he's the hero. Like he's got, like he's the one who kind of like actually is.
He's actually the like, he's the chivalrous gentleman that they
I would actually
shining armor. Yeah,
I would argue that they actually stayed very carefully away from turning him into a.
I actually think there were more like hints at his homosexuality before.
Oh, really? The Love of Tony Curtis movie?
Oh, right. I mean, the whole James Dean, like, homoerotic look he's got going on.
He said in interviews, so there's a whole oral history.
James Dean is the original twink. Like,
yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, you watch Rebel Without a Cause. There's so much coded language in that movie.
Yeah.
And what I love about this is that he doesn't shy away from it. He totally accepts this. And then Cher, again, is the clueless one.
Cher is clueless.
Who keeps throwing herself, and he kind of goes, oh no. Then he offers his hand and says, we're still friends, right?
Right. Friends. And as Helen was pointing out earlier that this is directed to us, who did not go through the moment where you had a huge crush on a gay guy? And
absolutely
everybody did it. Everyone had that.
And also you had a crush on them because you on some level knew that they were gay. And so it was completely safe for you to have a crush on them, right?
There's a certain level
but also
of that.
because I connect with gay men better than just about anybody on the planet. So it makes sense that I would be in love with multiple gay men.
But also he's well dressed, which she was just complaining about.
Well groomed.
Complaining about all the 90s boys not dressing nicely.
Had Luke Perry's haircut.
Yeah,
that's true.
He totally has Luke Perry's. He's so cute. God,
he drives a really nice car. Like, absolutely. Like,
that car, by the way. Oh my God,
he's got great taste in art. Like, he's like a total package.
So that's a 1954 Nash Metropolitan. That is a
beautiful car.
You don't find a lot of those. So AMC actually started making these like little tiny ass cars past the 50s and the 60s. And I absolutely love that line that Dan Hayda has where he's just like, just because like Sammy Davis died, do you think you can like take the Rat Pack? I love that there are two sections of this movie from 1995 that split off, and you could see both directions, because not only do you get the schoolgirl aesthetic that burgeons out of 1995-96. Like, you don't get Britney Spears without this movie.
Nope.
You also don't get swingers without this movie.
You're totally right. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that idea of like, Jesus Christ, Dickie Barrett's there as their like college, or not even college. It's like what is it?
No, that was a college. That was a frat party.
It was a frat party. And it's just like, I'm sorry, you have a ska band that's, to be fair, not quite broken through yet, but basically has that.
That song was already pretty big, wasn't it?
They were pretty big.
Yeah, but Impression was pretty big by then.
No, Impression didn't come out until the year after that.
Is it this movie?
No, they didn't do Impression That I Get. They did Where'd You Go? And then they did what's the other one? All this is off of Noises and Other Disturbances. So like, you would have it was probably Awfully Quiet. So they didn't get into massive fame until, let's face it, because that's the Impression That I Get. Rascal King. Then that's 1997.
I think that's the one that Helen got me for Christmas one year, and she put it in my Christmas stocking.
Oh yeah, like watching Dickie Barrett before I actually realized like Dickie Barrett's a scumbag. It's kind of nice to be like, oh, I remember you guys. You were cute.
Can we go back to talking about the clothes?
Oh my God, they were so good. The plaid jacket,
I think
I still want to dress like Cher.
Same. She has like 5 outfit changes a day, and it's
no, it's more than that.
More than that, and I can't even tell you. You can't tell what day it is. I mean, you kind of can based on the other people's clothes and the fact that they stay the same. So, like, because she changes so much, you're like, I don't know what day it is.
Yeah,
like that. Somebody has to have invented that app by now.
The sorting out your wardrobe and all that.
The wardrobe the going through and picking out the outfit for you and being able to like mix and match. I need that so badly.
But you have to. So there is a similar app, but you have to like upload pictures of all your clothes individually.
Yeah.
And who has that time?
I'd be willing to put in that work.
Which I like that Cher said she doesn't like mirrors, so she takes Polaroids of all of her outfits. And I'm like, but that would actually be accurate now if you wanted to make that app work.
Yes.
Like instead of a mirror, you would take photos of it on you and then upload it.
But the problem with that is photos do not look right when you take them. You have to like add the filter and just to make sure that it looks normal. So that might be a problem.
Yeah. So costume designer Monome, we talked about her when we talked about Romy and Michelle. I actually love that she didn't go designer except for two fucking things, which was the Alaya and then that Dolce & Gabbana intro piece that she did, the yellow plaid thing.
Because she never finds it.
Because you would think the budget on this, there was over 60 outfit changes in this fucking movie. That's insane. Like even Alicia Silverstone, it says in interviews, she's just like, I did not know half the shit about fashion until I did this movie. Because you would have to do these changes. The budget on that was around $200,000.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
So the most expensive pieces that they had were, again,
the Alaya
the Alaya and the Dolce & Gabbana, because they knew it was part of the script.
Yeah. And
everything else.
That yellow plaid outfit is so iconic at this point. You know, like.
It's 100%.
It's close to wearing that outfit for Halloween last year.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I saw a very similar knockoff at Target one year, and I was like, oh, so tempted.
There's a perfect one now. Like they makes the rounds every Halloween. It's spot on. It's great.
So like that's the thing that I actually love about this is that Monome actually talks about this in interviews a lot. And one of my favorite things that she brings up is that she's like, you need a showstopper to start it. But the rest of it, she wanted to be basically like Mallrat kind of stuff, where it was stuff that was just accessible. So the rest of it wasn't designer anything, like wasn't like Rodeo Drive, Beverly Hills. It was always like things that she could collaborate and put together and make it look like upscale. Because even those scenes when she's walking around Rodeo Drive, which I love, because that would just opened up. Like that was like the new shopping center around LA. And she's walking around there and she's having this like epiphany about maybe she actually loves Paud Rudd.
I love Josh. Yeah.
Right. But my favorite part about that whole thing is she's having this emotional cathartic moment. And then she walks by and she looks at the window and goes, oh my God, I walked in. And then walks in and then continues, but with bags. And it's like, that's exactly who this character is.
Yep.
It is so well written. It is so well done.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Scott Rudin for knowing how to like pick this stuff out of the ether. But thank you, I guess. Fuck you. I don't know.
It can be both. As we've discussed, it can be both.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is one of the difficulties of this podcast, right? Is coming to terms with the fact that a lot of the people that made the things that we love suck.
Yep.
Well, and it's also like you look at Stacey Dash's outfits too. Like they're like the most.
Talk about somebody else who sucks.
I was about to say, talk about people that suck. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I know.
But she's like the exaggerated version of Cher.
Totally. Exactly.
And I love that.
Yeah. So is Ambular.
Yeah.
Ambular.
Oh yeah. She's supposed to be the villain. You know, she's the one that's like the antagonist out of all this. Even though like it's a pretty weak antagonistic. Vibe.
I mean, it's based off like Jane Austen. Like, there's not going to be
even
rampaging hillbillies or anything.
Well, that's the thing is like even because she is the character in Emma that is her like antagonizer, but you find out later that she's in the book Emma. They didn't go for this with Ambular, but like in the book, that character has very good reason for being standoffish. So like
she doesn't want balls flying at her face.
Yeah. because she's already got that relationship with the guy who's the awful character.
Mr. Elton.
Yeah.
Well, she ends up dating Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Because he's a scumbag. By the way.
Elton.
Elton. Sorry. Yeah. What a fucking scumbag.
Oh, that's one of the things where that one hit me way differently.
Yeah.
And
that was rough. That was rough.
Blown off when he leaves her. Like she's over it.
In the middle of the valley.
In the middle of the valley.
In the middle of the valley after sexually assaulting her.
Yeah.
She runs out of the car, but then leaving her there in what is clearly a dangerous neighborhood.
Yeah.
He sucked after leading Ty on. Elton sucks. Elton's the worst.
Elton sucks, and he's definitely like, a Nepo baby. He is
that
was
son,
his whole,
right?
That was his whole pitch to Cher. Is like, my dad
Nepo
does
babies,
this, your dad does this. Let's get together.
Although I will say that as he was making that point, I was like, yeah, it actually is kind of true. He and Ty did not go together. They didn't work.
No, absolutely not.
Like,
but,
she does
also
with Kravitz.
Ty doesn't belong in this social circle.
No,
100%. I also think, like, R.I.P. Brittany Murphy, by the way, like, this is
so sad.
This is one of those things that I've always loved. I remember I was working at Film Forum when the news that, because I think it was like 2009, she was one of those actresses that I absolutely loved, but didn't fit the mold. You know what I'm saying?
So I had a teacher who, he was the costume designer for A View from the Bridge that she starred in on Broadway in like the late 90s.
Yeah.
And he said, like, I remember it was the year that I had him as a teacher was the year that show was going on. And he came into class one day and told us that he had just met Brittany Murphy and that she walked into the room and his thought was, she is so vulnerable. This world is going to absolutely destroy her.
Oh.
That was his first thought when he met her.
So one of the films, and I think I've talked about this before, there's a film that she started to move into the production. And, it's basically a retread of Tampopo, but like via a white girl. It's called Ramen Girl.
Ramen Girl, yeah.
And it was, it's okay. It's not great, but it actually showcased a lot of what she could do. And I think the reason why I hung on to that is that I think that she was like trying to break out of this, like, I don't want to be in rom-com shit, because that's all she was getting handed, as performance wise. If you look at a lot of the stuff that she did post 2000s, it's a lot of.
If anybody else has seen, they did a HBO documentary about her life and death last year.
Yeah.
And they talk about the fact that she just went on this downhill slide when she married the guy that she married. And it's not necessarily entirely his fault, but she developed an eating disorder around that time. She became very difficult on set because she was on a lot of drugs. She wasn't anything.
Yeah. As somebody who's a major Judy Garland fan, I learned to interpret when somebody says difficult on set
I'm not
somebody
saying
else is manipulating this person. Yeah. And they're not in the right state of mind. And I don't think she was in the right state of mind.
From all accounts and from every portrayal I have ever seen, she is an incredibly sweet, open person who got eaten up, exactly like my teacher said she would.
Yeah.
But I associate myself more closely with Ty than just about any other character in cinema.
Oh, can I just say, I don't know where, because she says in interviews, like contemporaneous interviews, that she just wanted to bring this like New York accent. I guarantee you it's because of Amy Heckerling, because Amy Heckerling is like quintessentially New York. When you listen to her, she talks exactly like what Britney was doing. And I think there was like a certain kind of maybe this moment of like, oh, I'm the outsider, but I want to
I feel like nobody could be Alicia Silverstone. Like we all want to be Alicia Silverstone, but none of us could be. She's perfect. She's
like an island of her own.
Yeah,
Amy Heckerling has said in multiple interviews, like the only person she ever actually when they were. I have the oral history on this. It's actually a really good read. If you go to Vanity Fair, they have like I think it was like during the 20th anniversary of this, Jen Chaney compiled all this stuff, and they talked about the difficulties because she had this idea in the 80s and then going into the 90s, and originally was with Fox, and the casting agent for Fox was Carrie Fraser, and Amy Heckerling was like, I want this girl from this music video. And then Carrie Fraser was like, you should look at this girl from Crush. And it was like, it's the same fucking girl.
The same girl.
Oh, hilarious.
The same girl.
And like the fact that they weren't communicating. Oh, also, by the way, she recommended for Josh when this was going through Fox back in like the early 90s, Ben Affleck.
No,
I could see that.
In 93, 94.
I could actually see it.
I could see that.
Totally could see that. Absolutely. They were a little bit the same.
He would have been a little bit more like smarmy.
He would have done better because at the beginning of the movie.
All I think about is Mallrats.
I think about Dazed and Confused, where he's like the meathead jock,
scumbag,
right? You know, yeah, also a scumbag.
So basically, it's this movie and Dazed and Confused, which came out 2 years before this.
Yeah,
that solidified so many careers in Hollywood.
It really did. For real.
And so once it got away from 20th Century Fox and it went to Paramount, they got a new casting director. And that's when everything started to fall into place. That is Marcia Ross. And she was the one that pushed Paud Rudd. And Paud Rudd actually didn't. He auditioned for like multiple parts in this. They were like, oh, you should do the Birkenstock role. You should do the, all these other. And he's like, yeah, whatever, man. And then finally at the end, he was just like, oh, you should do Josh. And then he did it. And the chemistry between him and Alicia Silverstone is so amazing.
So good for step siblings. So good.
I know. It's a little weird
because you're like whole kind of like step sibling porn trend that is so
probably.
Randall and I had a big argument about the age appropriateness. I think Josh.
Yeah.
So Josh,
that came up to me.
Yeah. Well, he was living in the dorms, and she mentioned freshman psych. So I think he was only 18, 19.
Yeah,
I think he was 15 at the start of the movie.
They really should have aged her up a year. But honestly, 16 and 19 isn't that big a deal.
Is it?
If they're
there's a song about this.
At least they're not going the way it was in the actual books, where he's a lot older.
I think we're all making excuses because it's Paud Rudd.
Yeah, I know.
No, I wasn't making an excuse for it. When she says I'm 15 and I paused and was like, oh, God, that means Josh is way too old for her.
Gross.
Yeah, it's a little gross and there's no way it lasted, but that doesn't mean that we have a
Do you guys know the song Into the Night?
No.
You can't play it. It'll cut it out. No.
Yeah.
No.
Come a few bars.
I'll pick you up.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. You know how that song starts?
She's just 16 years old. Leave her alone, they say.
Like, immediately red flag, because it was like, all right, you're in college. And yeah, guess what? Your college girlfriend sucks.
Yeah. He sucked.
Yeah.
The second she uses the word fecund, like, done.
But the fact that she got showed up by a Beverly Hills high school student on their knowledge of these things.
See, I was more pissed that she misinterpreted the line from Hamlet. So
right, but that's the point, is that she knew better through an adaptive learning system than this person had through any amount of what they would like to call like environmental learning or adjustment.
Again, I will say, if you're watching the Mel Gibson Hamlet, the odds of a 15-year-old girl retaining the line "to thine own self be true,"
I know.
Probably not. Like,
watch the Kenneth Branagh Hamlet if you're going to watch any of the Hamlet.
No one has 4 hours to do that. Okay, first of all, no.
Good.
I don't like
it's
that
so
one.
good.
Oh, I love that one.
I made my AP English class. Well, I like.
You know what I wanted? I wanted the Hamlet that they showed in Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
To be or not to be. Not to be.
Something is rotten in the state of Denmark, and Hamlet is taking out the trash. No one's going to tell this sweet prince good night.
I would love that.
Whatever.
I would love that.
Look, whatever got her to retain that memory,
good job.
That's the connection. Yeah. And this is like the deafness of Amy Heckerling. Like, she has this ability. Okay, so Bryce had said that she just watched Vamps recently.
Oh, God.
So that's Amy Heckerling, again, with Alicia Silverstone and Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
And she has
decades later.
I think she has this very specific gift of being able to tell stories of people coming into awareness. And it happens in
pastimes.
Basically, all of her films and television shows, which she's done a lot of television. And one of the things that I really love about this movie is that it re-solidifies that kind of rediscovery. And it's not, and again, she wanted it to be positive. It's like, sure, it's tongue in cheek and it's satirical and it's making fun of the materialism of it. But at the same time, it is actually positive and showing that, oh, somebody can actually change and do good. You know? Like you watch her look at the pain that Brittany Murphy puts Breckin Meyer through.
Yeah.
And that one scene when she blows him off and you go, oh, fuck, she actually gets it.
Yeah. You see the growth she has. Like, and when she is super sweet to Breckin Meyer during the like food drive and she's like really trying to do better things like for society, you can see that she recognizes where she went wrong with everything, you know?
Right. I think that's one of the beautiful things about this movie, and especially around the 90s, is that it's one of the only movies I can think of where they had the popular girl was so confident in herself that she can be nice to other people.
Yeah.
Which
the positiveness.
Everything else in the 90s, the popular people are the ones that bully everybody.
The enemy. Yeah. And you kind of get a little bit of that when she realizes what the monster she's created.
Yeah.
And then when Ty says, you're a virgin who can't drive, it fucking hits hard. Yeah. And I noticed that if you watch that reverse shot,
that was way harsh.
She's in the least amount of makeup and the least amount of coverage. So it is a very vulnerable fucking moment. And when she has that moment, is like way harsh, Ty. Yeah, the dialogue aside, it's a real fucking moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a gut punch.
Well,
it looks like a total gut
punch. Another thing that I appreciate about this movie is that they don't take the topic of virginity and turn it into a black or white thing.
Not like, again, American Pie. Like,
So like the fact that she says like there's anything wrong with me being a virgin, like in high school, the message in the 90s was there's a lot wrong with you if you're still a virgin in high school.
What I
delivered that was great.
What I liked about the scene is how they allowed her to be really vulnerable with that line. That's way harsh. Like she didn't fight back. She didn't like they didn't raise it to soap opera level of drama.
No,
like,
it's just that hurt me.
Yeah.
And then
really,
they had a moment much later.
Yeah.
They had time to like kind of it. And then they really did. They
were both so tentative about it, which I thought was really sweet. Like they were both nervous.
And I feel that's way more
about
genuine.
What the other person was going to say, but they were both kind of like willing to risk, you know, like they didn't, again, shy away from having a difficult conversation.
Like real emotion about
really
it.
Real.
And the thing that like especially comparing this to what happens a few years later in American Pie.
Yeah.
Like the conquest version of this.
Well, you want to talk male gaze versus female gaze?
Oh, absolutely.
This is female gaze.
Although, so why did everybody in the 90s have eating disorders? Jesus. Like,
oh my God.
The amount of time they talked about like being heifers and being on diet and how much they ate. And it hit in Romeo and Michelle. Yeah. But I'm like, it hit so hard in this one. And I never felt it until I was
especially when you see Brittany Murphy's character like changing her outfits from the more like big shirt stuff, because she obviously has this idea in her head that she's not thin enough for the crop top, when she's got a normal body. And it's like, she looks so fucking cute in in every outfit that she wears, whether it's her baggy clothes or her crop tops. She looks so great.
And again, it's Brittany Murphy is the one that we can associate with.
Yeah, totally.
And it's the normal one.
And you're like looking at her and you're like, oh my God. And she's being told that she's not thin enough. Like, you know,
she's not a lot of things enough. Like my favorite moment in that movie is the moment when they're at the frat party and she's standing between the two 7 feet tall people.
Yeah.
Because that is a super familiar situation to me.
I love it when she's trying to figure out what to do with her like accessory shirt and she turns it into a hairpiece.
That scene right there. I have fallen downstairs entering a party. I have done the thing where I'm like, maybe I should tie it around my waist. Maybe I should put it in my hair. I don't know. It still looks terrible to me.
Well, seriously, that outfit was the worst outfit in the whole movie. Like if we were going to rank them, that was the worst.
What was it? The overalls with the pink like heart thing?
Oh, no,
that was pretty bad.
Overalls.
It was okay when she tied it up in her hair. It was okay.
As somebody who had Jort overalls, I'm offended. I have Jort overalls right now.
100%.
You know, Alex, you know how sometimes you say like no offense? Full and total offense. Full offense. Jort overalls are favorable.
I'm gonna wear nothing but Jort overalls around you now, Bryce.
I'm gonna wear them all the time. I'm also just gonna wear jorts all the time because I really love jorts.
I have no problem with jorts. No problem with jorts. Jort overalls are terrible, and I'm gonna judge you. And I don't care. I like judging people, so please do wear them all the time. But judging.
One of my favorite things about this movie is not just the teen stuff, because Amy Heckerling has a wonderful thing. Wallace Shawn. And Twin Kaplan as Miss Toby Geist.
Yes.
Like this whole side quest.
So cute.
Essentially. Like I'm thrown off by the fact that they invited their students to the wedding. At the end.
Select number of students.
Right. But I'm willing to forgive it just because I wanted to see Wallace Shawn in a fucking tuxedo and owning so I don't know if you guys have seen The Holdovers.
Yes.
So there's a very similar kind of
schlubby. Very schlubby.
A schlubby intellectual, doesn't think much about this, but then suddenly this woman comes into life. But I love that Amy Heckerling managed to make this such a great moment.
Yeah.
And these little moments of like, oh, and then the tests get easier and everybody like kind of loves everything. And by the time you get to that wedding, holy shit, like you got a fist pump at that point. You're like, fuck yeah, man.
Go love it. Yeah. The fact that we are so close in age to Wallace Shawn now is upsetting.
Oh, yeah.
You may be close in age to Wallace Shawn.
What is it? It's like single, 47, keeps to himself and blah, blah, blah.
Not cool at all.
And I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah.
But
not cool at all.
Okay, you're neither single nor do you keep to yourself.
No, but like I love like when they go through that little, and it's like the POV camera when she goes through like the teacher's lounge. This is what really fascinates me about this movie. I absolutely love this, is that it becomes like this new thing that just gets abandoned for like the last act until the very, very, very last moment. And I'm like, oh, this is actually the fun stuff, where Paud Rudd rightly calls her out is like, yeah, you're only helping these people because they're helping you. But I want to see the results of it. And when they go through you see the gym teacher and you see all the math and the English people. And then there's Miss Geist.
Lonely Miss Geist.
Like drinking like her soup, and then it spills on her and she's like, yeah, whatever. And again, Wallace Shawn does the same thing. Once they realize, oh, somebody's interested in me. Oh, let me dress up a little bit.
Again, that's what Amy Heckerling is so good at, is heighten real emotion, real situations, because that's absolutely what happens at no matter what age you are. Somebody has a crush on you, you start dressing better. You start feeling yourself again. Like that's never going to stop.
When somebody's like, oh, hello. And that's when you get to by the way, that's Amy Heckerling in the shot when they throw the bouquet. She's the one who's like throwing elbows like it's a mosh pit in the middle of all the actresses because she wanted to get them really jazzed up for the shot. And it works. By the way, I love that fucking song.
The soundtrack, fantastic.
The soundtrack is great. The music, the soundtrack, everything about it is like ideal.
Tenderness, where is it? Oh man, that's like that Britpop kind of thing, that was coming in right around that time. And again, that's in 1984. So all this stuff is coming from Amy Heckerling's youth to like we've talked about this before about
writers write to their own childhood.
Right. And I think Clueless is one of those examples where this was someone who is a Gen Xer who's looking on the new generation, which is why I really, really, really love that moment when Cher just looks at all these boys and goes, what the fuck am I supposed to be attracted to you about? And she's not wrong.
Not at all.
Can I use this to tell a story about my high school boyfriend?
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, I have one after you. Go.
Amazing. So my high school boyfriend, skinny as rail, wore 42 inch shorts for some reason.
Yeah.
No. That's not the story. So he like wore as an accessory a dish rag, a dish towel on his belt loop. And when you asked him why, it was like, oh, so I always have some place to wipe my hands. Like he was like a mechanic. My mother, thinking that this was adorable and loving my high school boyfriend, got him a series of like dish towels. So they were like nice and pretty. One of them had a ducky, one of them had a cow, and he was so excited.
Ducky,
That's cute.
So
maybe your mom was supposed to date your high school boyfriend.
Honestly, my mother just likes buying clothes for the men I date. She bought dish rags for this high school boyfriend. She buys like half of Randall's shirts. It's so strange.
My high school boyfriend used to take baseball hats and cut the top off of them and call them half hats.
Oh, no.
And then he would wear that all the time, although he did figure out eventually that those were called visors.
I was going to say.
But literally, he would cut the top off and call it a half hat, and then he would flip it upside down. It wasn't even backwards. He would just flip it upside down.
Like Jamie Kennedy?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
But he was adorable. He could get away with it.
Sure.
But it was a fashion choice.
Not my high school boyfriend, but my high school crush had those really baggy jeans. And he was at the bus stop. I wasn't there at the bus stop because we lived far apart, but everybody knew this story. He was at the bus stop and they were just like walking, and his jeans were so fucking baggy. He tripped on them and actually got hit by a car.
Wow.
He was fine. But he did have like some scarring on his face because of the car.
Guys, I think Alex won.
Alex did win that story.
Yeah.
And it was like one of those like crushes where like you playfully jest at each other. So he was like teasing me once in high school history, and I was like, dude, at least I'm gonna get hit by a car because my pants were over my ass, like falling off my ass. And he was like, you got me.
Did he say way harsh, Al?
Way harsh, yeah.
He thought it was hilarious the way I said that. Like he actually laughed at it. He was like, you've actually got me there.
I remember feeling very, I guess the only way to describe it is put out when I was broken up by somebody. But the first thing that they said to me when we started dating was, I love the way that your jean cuffs fall over your shoes.
It's a good reason to date somebody.
Right. And that's what I was like, oh, I need to wear my jeans like this all the fucking time. And then, of course.
Isn't that how jeans work?
Right. But no, literally weeks later, that was done. And then I blamed my jeans for the whole failure of that relationship.
Yeah. I mean, in high school,
what is it with men and one compliment will make them like binge everything?
This is my personality.
Because they don't know what women want. It's because they don't know what women want, and they hear,
clue.
We communicate one thing. And they're like, okay, that's what she wants. I'm going to
100.
Latching on.
All of it.
You just go 100% on that. And then you sit there and you go, oh, fuck.
Oh, no, I have to have a personality and listen and do things.
Yeah, it was real awkward.
Can I tell one other high school story that is not a clothing story, but was directly involved with this movie?
Sure.
So I have shared this before, and I was a late bloomer in general. So the year that it came out, I was at a Halloween party. Everybody knew that I had a crush on this guy. And my friend decided that I was way too old to have not had my first kiss yet, because I hadn't had my first kiss yet. She decided, the movie had just come out, and she figured the best way to make this happen was to play Suck and Blow. Prompted by this movie. Except I was really good at Suck and Blow. So I didn't actually get my first kiss out of that game because I just kept passing the credit card. I could not figure out how to drop it.
Oh, that was like my first year in college. I remember. So out of state students have to, they get early move in because it's a fucking pain in the ass. Nobody wants to do all these things. So you're there like a week and a half early. And I was sitting there outside with somebody, and I remember this moment very vividly, only after the fact. Where they're like, yeah, do you know how somebody can tell that they're flirting with you? And it's this girl who's sitting outside with me, and she's smoking a cigarette, and I'm smoking because I was also smoking. And I was like, how's that? And she's like, well, when they blow their smoke in your face. And I was like, oh, cool. And then she blows smoke in my face. I'm like, that's good to know. And I just like, well, thanks for the advice. And I fucking walked off, and I'm like, wow, all right.
There's a reason that we spend our entire lives watching movies.
Yeah.
And it's because we did not do the social thing very well.
No, like decades later, I was like,
the social thing, great. What?
I'm not speaking for you guys. I am right now speaking for Randall and myself since we just told those two stories.
Yeah. And I remember that very distinctively. Like, cool, good to know. All right, I'll see you later.
I'm gonna file that away.
The fuck off. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot.
So Randall, would you call yourself clueless in that moment?
Yeah, clueless. 100% clueless.
Bring it back.
I loved. So Randall's mother told me that for his senior prom, he and all his like dude bros dropped off their dates early
at the prom,
so they could hang with each other.
Yeah.
I've got a better one. My senior prom date left me in the parking lot of a Village Inn so that he could go to his high school ex-girlfriend's graduation. Gave me to somebody else the night of prom to take home because he had to go to his ex-girlfriend's high school.
Wait, like hand it off?
Not his ex-girlfriend.
Literally,
not his ex-girlfriend.
Not for long after that. Literally, we were in the parking lot of the after party. And he looked at our friend and said, "Can you take her home? I gotta go." And then I found out 2 or 3 days later that he had gone to her graduation. High school, man. High school is a good time. Not.
Yeah, no.
I went what's the female version of stag to our high school prom?
I guess.
And then
it still counts as stag.
Yeah, I brought a girlfriend to my high school prom.
There you go.
Yeah. And then they had an after school, a safe after school prom party that pretty much all of the seniors went to because they had arcade games and they had
hell yeah,
pizza and stuff, and they had it lasted until early in the morning too. I think we were there until 5 a.m. Yeah, and they had a bouncy castle. I was like, this is the best party.
That's where he left me.
Alex came home with a beanbag chair.
We were at the after party for the prom. We went to Village Inn afterwards, which is like Denny's. And he left me in the goddamn parking lot after we had done all of that stuff.
I can't talk to any of you all. I had a boyfriend. I had sex in high school. I had a date to the prom.
Next year I had a boyfriend. It was just that one. That was not.
I mean, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I was way too young to have sex. But you don't know what you don't know.
Speaking of what you don't know, I think this still holds up.
Definitely.
Oh my God, yes.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Minus the 90s problematic
language,
the R word,
we didn't talk about the Persian mafia problem when they go through and there's a bunch of stereotypes in there.
Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, I actually have a bigger problem. Honestly, the biggest problem that I have with this is gonna be Cher and Josh.
No, it's fine.
Nah, that's not as big.
I agree with Randall. I kind of have a problem with it.
I agree with Bryce that the worst is eating disorder.
It's weird because also the dad is obviously trying to cajole his stepson.
I know. That weirds me out too.
His daughter.
He's looking a little.
Also, he is adult.
Josh is a good guy.
Josh is a good guy. Yes.
They were only married and living together for a year.
He's also he's basically adultifying his daughter.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Is he? Oh well, yes.
Really? You don't think so?
No, you're right.
He's creating this weird world where it's just the people that he's related to that are all just going to be around him to take care of him, even though he has a paid staff.
Well, again, that's the mooks.
That dude is so getting fired for being mean.
Oh my God, the guy that leaves at the end?
Yeah, he's getting fired.
Fuck that guy.
For making Cher cry. Yeah.
If Cher cries, and he's going to not only get fired, he's never going to work in
LA again. No.
Yeah.
No.
He's going to have to move to New York or wherever the fuck.
Wisconsin.
No, it's going to have to be a small town because Cher's dad definitely has reach in New York.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's what I love. Amy Heckerling purposely picked.
I have a real soft spot for grumpy dads because I had a grumpy dad. And whenever you get a good grumpy dad, it just really makes me so.
And one that gets grumpy about the kind of food that you're making him because it's healthier.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's why I love Dan Hayda, Amy Heckerling purposely picked somebody who she said was, quote, a hitman.
Yes.
But also somebody who could not look less like Alicia Silverstone.
I mean, probably got her mom's.
There's not a single ounce of his DNA.
She got all her mom's DNA very clearly because her mom was a 70s fox, as you saw by the painting.
Total Betty.
She was a total Betty.
She got his desire to argue and tenaciousness. Yeah.
And I do love that he's so proud of her for upping her grades through the sheer power of argument.
Yeah, just the sheer power of bullshit.
Yeah.
But that's going to take her far in this world.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 100. It's for real.
Yeah, it is. On the mention of the Betty, there was one other thing I wanted to bring up, which is, I don't know if anybody else has seen the TikTok videos of the older person sitting with a kid and doing a definition thing where the kid is giving what words mean now.
Okay, yeah.
I can't use an example because I don't know the words that kids use now.
Riz.
But
no cap.
501.
So this movie, I remember they came out with a definition sheet because adults didn't understand what everybody was saying in this, which is so funny to me now. That adults needed someone to explain to them what as if meant.
As if.
I also find it funny that I was just going to say, because Helen said period. And I was like, I find it funny that period is making a comeback as a new word. And I'm like,
period.
Period with the T at the end has existed for a decade. It's been
same
around.
with as if, honestly.
Yeah.
As if it's been around.
And Amy Heckerling has talked about that. She gleaned that from her time in New York drag scenes where
but also there was the whole kind of Frank Zappa Valley Girl, kind of
100%.
encapsulation.
Most teen language comes from drag queens.
Totally. And people don't realize it. A lot of it comes
a little bit more. They do
culture.
now a little bit more because Drag Race is on the air, so everybody hears them now. But forever,
a lot of the common slang that we use comes from drag.
100%.
I will say that I forgot one of the best fucking burns that comes out of this was when she said, "Oh, she's a Monet."
Yep. Far away, she's okay, but up close, she's a big old mess.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh God, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that only comes from somebody with a fucking art history background.
Yes. I will also share that I had in my AIM away message for years. My away message was, if I'm too good for him, how come I'm not with him?
Oh, such a classic away message.
That was my favorite.
Speaking of the slang, I love, this is a small thing, I love the comparison, the contrast between Christians, equally crazy but crazy dated slang and the modernly crazy teenage slang. It was so good.
Oh, and he made up a lot of that. He was just Christian, so Justin Walker had said in interviews, he was just I'm just gonna wing whatever the fuck I can and see what comes up. Oh God, it's so weird. I like
weird or wonderful.
Lot. Well, I like it because it makes him so singular.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like this little ethereal spirit that wanders around the movie. It was like when we watched American Pie and it was the Natasha Lyonne character. You're oh, you shouldn't be in this movie.
No, you're in a different movie. And I would love to watch your movie.
Yeah.
Because it's great.
Justin Walker was kind of like that in this, where he just he's just
it was especially the fact that he comes in to the movie halfway through
late.
The movie, late. Yeah. And he's kind of mentioned at the beginning as his parents are splitting custody, right?
Right.
It's just he just kind of does float in as this weird anachronism.
Yeah, but and then fucks
so
off,
cool.
And then you're whatever.
I also just have to say that I cannot watch Breckenmeyer without hearing one of our friends in my ear going, "Fucking Breckenmeyer."
I love Breckenmeyer. I know.
Oh, poor Breckenmeyer.
I love Breckenmeyer.
Really like him in this.
He's adorable.
I really like him in this.
I love him all the time.
Yeah. Especially when he gives his acceptance speech. Brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Even he admits, he's kind of stealing a little bit from Spicoli.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's just oh, what the fuck else are you gonna do, man?
You have to. That is an archetype now.
And I like that they do kind of reconcile it where he ends up with Ty and the initial attractions that everybody kind of sees actually work out. It's just oh yeah, that's where you belong.
That's because it's Jane Austen. It has to have a happy ending.
Sure.
It makes me really want to read this book again, honestly.
I always want to reread Jane Austen.
I love Emma. Emma, I think, is my favorite.
Pride and Prejudice.
I like Pride and Prejudice, but I just really we talked a little bit about how close this is to the actual book, and there's a lot of divergence, but the character, having this character who is the popular girl, and you're supposed to hate her, but you can't because she's actually really sweet and learns about herself, is Emma, that is exactly who Emma is in the books, is the popular girl.
Honestly, I think this would be the way that so there was an 80s version of The Tempest.
Yeah.
That starred John Cassavetes, and it had Molly Ringwald in it, and Susan Sarandon, and Gina Rollins. And it's just taking the plot points and kind of like running with them. It's not taking like the class themes, and that's kind of the enjoyable part about this, is that it's so low stakes that you kind of just, you get to enjoy it. And there is a sense of positivity and enjoyment out of it that I think really does come out still to this day. And
well, it's also because you've got a bunch of teenagers that aren't weighed down by the weight of the world, which
it's not like Euphoria or
it's not even like Buffy that would come a couple of years later, or Dawson's Creek, where these kids like dealt with adult problems all the time, were always super depressed, could never get their heads out of their asses.
Yeah.
And this
They're
is
still like kids.
Like kids allowed to be kids.
And like their big charity effort is for Pismo Beach, which is another really nice part of California.
Pismo Beach, where all the clams you can eat.
But Pismo Beach probably will use those bongs that Travis donated.
100%.
And the golf clubs. And the golf clubs. Yeah. The ski equipment.
Mm-hmm.
I love the look that Paud Rudd get, like those little aside looks. And again, God, Paud Rudd's so good in this. It's just like that.
He's
like,
so good in this.
Little smiles to just be like,
little smiles.
Okay.
So dreamy.
And he is. He's very dreamy. And yeah, his college girlfriend sucks.
Oh my God. Just waiting for her to say hegemony, and then I was going to smack her.
Yeah, arguing about like Nietzsche. And I'm like, God damn it, shut the fuck up.
Takes us to the second point in the garden, Josh.
So yeah.
It holds up. 100%. You could show this to teenagers today, and I don't think it would be a problem at all.
Totally.
Except for the whole
like
she's just 16 years old.
I feel like more kids are going to be disturbed with the fact that he's technically her stepbrother. Then
sure, but you know what? Every single porn video they watch is basically
that's all it is now, Dana. That's all it is now.
All it is.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you people? Go back to normal porn.
I mean, there was like a series, I think, of books that came out for kids.
Oh no!
Porn.
Oh no! That was like about like teenage, like Luke and Leia kind of situation, you know, where it was like they were siblings.
It was like Mortal something another.
I don't remember the name of it. Like Little House on the Prairie shit.
I was just watching this series on Netflix that just came out about this psychopath who has donated like sperm to over 3,000 people.
Oh yeah.
But there's a thing in it where they talk about Luke and Leia syndrome, which is a legitimate thing where people who do not know that they're related are attracted to each other because they can sense that there's some similarity there.
Yeah.
So
gross.
It's a thing. It's a thing.
It is a thing.
But it is a thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think that like hit into a lot of those like teen books post Harry Potter and post Hunger Games. It's like the new series of books that came out after those.
Why can't you people just get into furry porn like normal
like the rest of us?
Yeah. We did the dino porn like how long ago now? It's like
we did the dino porn like goddamn 10 years ago.
Just for way longer than that, I think, guys. I'm sorry.
We didn't do dino porn. We read dino porn.
Speak for yourself, Helen. Speak for yourself.
We did go to the Museum of Natural History.
I'm ending this. I'm ending this on this.
On the implication that I did dino porn, amazing.
No, I'm just saying.
I can't wait to see the transcript on this one.
Looking out the dirty old window. I don't know.